Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin with item 1, opening of meeting. Officers, can I confirm that live streaming has commenced? Thank you. Good evening, elected members, CEO, staff, Local Government Monitor Andrew Hammond, and members of the public. I declare the Ordinary Council meeting of Wednesday, 29th of July, 2026, open at 5:31 p.m. Item 2, acknowledgement of traditional owners and dignitaries. I wish to acknowledge the Garrara people as the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on. I recognise their strength and resilience and pay my respects to elders past and present. Item 3, recording of attendance. This meeting is being live streamed and audio recorded to facilitate community participation and for minute-taking purposes, which may be released upon request to third parties. In accordance with Clause 6.16 of the Town of Port Hedland Standing Orders Local Law 2014, members of the public are not permitted to use any visual or audio electronic device or instrument to record the proceedings of any meeting unless that person has been given permission by the presiding member to do so. Members of the public are also reminded that in accordance with Clause 6.17 Subclause 4 of the Standing Orders, mobile phones must be switched off and not used during the meeting. Item 3.1, attendance. Attendance of elected members, administration and others will be recorded in the minutes. 3.2, attendance by telephone and instantaneous communications. It is confirmed all members are present at the meeting and there is not anyone attending via telephone or electronically. Item 3.3, apologies. There have been no apologies for tonight's meeting. Item 3.4, approved leave of absence. There have been no approved leave of absence requests for tonight's meeting. Item 3.5, disclosures of interest. I have received a declaration of interest from the CEO, Dale Stewart, who has declared a financial and impartiality interest in item 12.1.2, Chief Executive Officer Performance Review, Terms of Reference and Appointment of Committee Members, as this item relates to his contract of employment. I have also received elected member Scott's declaration of interest in item 12.2.1, Scribblers on the Road sponsorship. Due to a former role as Community Engagement Officer, she had preliminary discussions with the Festival Coordinator of Scribblers on the Road regarding a potential collaboration. No collaboration subsequently occurred and she is not currently involved, she has no current involvement arising from those discussions. Elected members, are there any further disclosures that are required to be submitted? Thank you. Item 4, application for leave of absence. I have not received any applications for leave of absence. Elected members, are there any applications for consideration? Thank you. I would like to put forth a procedural motion for the order of business as follows. That Council amend 29th of July 2026 Ordinary Council Meeting Order of Business as set out in Council Policy 1/017 to deal with item 8, announcements by presiding member without discussion, before item 5, response to previous questions. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? That is 7. I'm noting 7 hands, is that correct? So 7, 4 and 2?
Just call the vote 7-2 if that's the case.
Okay, 7-2. And as it's a simple majority vote, that is still moved. Into item 8, The Mayor's meetings for June 2026 are included in the agenda and shown on screen. And I will proceed with my announcements by presiding member. It's been another busy month across the community. Great to see so many events bring people together. Earlier this month, we celebrated NAIDOC Week, an important celebration held annually in Australia, and here in Port Hedland to honour the history, culture, resilience and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. It was a fantastic week of activities, important conversations and opportunities to listen and learn. I would like to acknowledge all the sponsors of NAIDOC Week. Without your support, these events would not be possible. A special thank you to major sponsors including Hancock Iron Ore, Rio Tinto and PLS. Tomorrow I have the honour of attending the Yule River On Country meeting. I look forward to hearing directly from traditional owners and community representatives. The meeting offers valuable opportunity to listen, learn and engage in discussions about priorities, challenges and opportunities for our region. Spinifex Spree was held last weekend. I attended with my family and it was a great night. It was wonderful to see celebration of community spirit, livability and local pride, bringing our community together in celebration of everything that makes our town a great place to live, work and visit. On behalf of Council, I extend my sincere thanks to the many sponsors, community groups, volunteers, performers and vendors who support and help make the carnival possible. I would also like to recognise the considerable effort of our town staff who work tirelessly behind the scenes for many months to plan, coordinate and deliver an event of this scale. Their dedication, professionalism and commitment to our community are greatly appreciated and instrumental to the continued success of Spinifex Spree. Mosquito management remains a priority for the town, with our environmental health team continuing in mosquito fogging program in response to increased mosquito activity across the town. Recent seasonal environmental conditions have created ideal breeding grounds, resulting in higher mosquito numbers than usual. While the town is working proactively to reduce mosquito populations through targeted fogging, mosquito control is a shared responsibility. I encourage residents to take simple precautions to protect themselves from mosquito bites and to help reduce breeding sites around their home. I thank the town's environmental health team for their ongoing efforts and our community for their patience, understanding and cooperation as this is an important public health program. Upcoming, we have the Australian Census. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind our community about the census and the important role it plays in shaping the future of our region. Every response helps build a clearer picture of our community, providing valuable data and insights that inform planning, investment, and service delivery at all levels of government. For regional communities in particular, strong participation in the census is vital. Accurate population and demographic data help ensure our community needs are properly understood and considered when decisions are made about funding, infrastructure, housing, health services, education, and other essential community services. I encourage all residents to take part and have their say. Thank you. We now move into item 5, response to previous questions. Responses to questions taken on notice at the 24th of June 2026 Council meeting have been included in the updated agenda, which can be seen on the town's website, and copies have been arranged to be emailed to the elected member. Item 6, public time. Members of the public, this is an opportunity for you to ask questions of Council. Clause 6.7, subclause 3 of the Town of Port Hedland's Standing Orders Local Law requires members of the public wishing to ask questions to complete a question form and place the completed form in the tray provided. As a presiding member, I can determine if questions or statements are out of order due to the use of offensive or objectionable expressions or are defamatory. They will not be considered nor recorded or responded to. Public questions are allocated a minimum of 15 minutes under the Act. Public questions and statements received in writing will be given priority and followed by other members of the public. Item 6.1, public question time. I declare public question time opened at 5:41 p.m. CEO, have we received any public questions?
To the Chair, no, we have not.
Thank you, CEO. Do any members of the public wish to ask any questions? Thank you. Come forward and state your name and suburb. Please remember to fill in a public question time form if you haven't already done so.
No worries, thank you. Afternoon, everybody. Ash Christensen, South Headland. First question, through the Chair to Councillor Edwards. During your election campaign, you made a number of commitments to the community, including bringing KFC and Hungry Jack's to Port Hedland. As a self-confessed KFC enthusiast and connoisseur, I would like to ask a few questions. Could you please update the community on what progress you've made towards delivering those commitments and whether you've had any discussions with those organisations since being elected? I'm pretty intrigued to see how we're going.
Thank you for your question. I would like to preface that by just giving some information on behalf of the Council. Some of the discussions that the Council do have are still somewhat private, so I'm not sure what Councillor Edwards' response will be, but items of a commercial nature may not be privy to the public as yet, but they may also be in the works, so there's a bit of a fine line to balance there.
I understand that, but I assume that Councillor Edwards wasn't privy to these conversations previously to running for council, and if you're putting it in your campaign that you're running on these platforms, I'd assume that he would have pre-existing understandings of it. All I'm asking is, he provided a commitment to the community running before he knew this information. Interested where it's at. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards, would you like to speak on this item?
Through the Chair, just to reply to that, those items that I put on that document were wanted in Port Hedland, not commitments. Right? They were asked by me to ask if we could get them brought to Port Hedland, not commitments that I made that they would be here.
All right. Perfect, thank you very much. Question 2 relates to items 12.1.3. Mayor, can you please identify whether yourself or an elected member has formally requested the amendments to Policy 1019, particularly the removal of the Declaration of Interest provisions? If so, who requested them and through what process, please?
Thank you for your question. So your question relates to item 12.1.3.
Correct.
And that's the amendments to Council Policy 1/019, Council Meetings and Forums.
Correct.
I might throw to the CEO to give us an overview of the amendments, and then we can talk to the procedure.
I'm aware of the amendments. Respectfully, I'm just asking, have yourself or one of your elected members, did one of you guys request those amendments? It's all asked.
I can speak to the discussions around this item. While we workshopped it, we looked at a number of different amendments, including that one, and that's why it's being brought forth to Council for decision tonight. The vote will tell us which way councillors prefer to have that item.
Great. So I appreciate you've had discussions about it. The question was specifically, have you or one of the councillors requested for that policy to come before you had those discussions? More along the lines, was there a process followed where you or was it brought to the council is where I'm pretty much asking?
I'll let the CEO answer how that was brought to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. In response to the question, the workshop we held was about general matters that impacted upon council briefings, and elected members were advised by the administration as to the council policy that related, which if impacted, elected members would have had to leave the discussion that we had at the time. The elected members that were present, which were, from recollection, there was a couple of different occasions, but one in particular where most elected members were present, where we actually live workshopped the challenge of compliance with the council policy, which references the DLG guidelines, which recommends the declarations of interest and therefore also recommends that councillors leave the discussions at a council briefing. So the councillors present, and I won't say it was all councillors in attendance, I can't recall offhand how many were there, but certainly a fair majority from recollection, went through and discussed about whether that council policy was something that there was appetite to change. From that there was consensus. I can't recall which elected members, and probably irrelevant as to which ones, but there was consensus that the CEO, through his administration, would then bring that matter back to the council for consideration to see whether there was appetite for the council to change that policy.
No worries, thank you. Rightio, piggybacking off that, you've kind of answered it, but I'm sure we'll have another dip at this question. 12.1.3, yet again, to the same policy. Can the council and the administration identify a single governance, legal or operational failure that has, under the existing policy that justifies removing the requirement of the declaration of interest provisions applying to the council forums?
I'll throw that to the CEO.
Thank you for the question. There is no particular matter that led to the removal of declarations. In actual fact, the proposed changes still require and expect declarations of interest. So the observations were that there were going to be continuing likelihood of declarations with people's different employment across the board in Port Hedland from all of the new elected members from different circumstances, whether it be their employers or their commitments to different organisations on boards and the like. So the conversation was about whether that was going to be a regular occurrence and whether it was more beneficial for elected members to stay in discussions, learning about things and contributing with those matters from their experiences, noting that they were still required to disclose their interest so that everyone was aware of their interests and took that into account. So the policy amendments are about still requiring declarations, but allowing them, if the elected members that have not declared agree that it's reasonable, to allow them to stay in the room and participate in that workshop or discussion. So answering your question, there's two elements to it, if that does answer your question.
No, perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your questions. Are there any further questions from the public?
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors, Administration. Adrian McRae from Lehigh Street, Wedgfield. Got a couple of questions about on the agenda tonight, item 12.4.1. The town's project management framework identifies detailed design as the next stage after the concept design. Why has administration not brought a recommendation seeking council approval to progress detailed design and approve the expenditure required for that stage?
Thank you for your question. I will refer to the CEO.
Through the Chair, if I can refer that to the Director of Infrastructure Services.
The report, sorry, I've been away on leave, so I've just...
Take it on notice if you need to, Lee, no problem.
So we have met with the new council and we are bringing this concept design to the council for approval. It was one of the two designs that the old council looked at, and so we will be, and we had a briefing with the council, and this was the one that they chose to bring forward.
I think just a little bit further on to that, CEO.
Through the Chair, thank you. I think Mr McRae, we will take on notice the second part of your question, which was why haven't we, or are we going to bring to council the actual detailed design pursuant to the project management framework, was your question? So we'll take that element on notice and come back to you on that if that's okay.
So, second part leading from that first question, if endorsement of this concept design is intended to authorise further work, which seems like part two of the items talks about, can the administration identify the government's authority that allows that to occur without a specific council resolution?
CEO?
Through the chair, the resolution is a two-part resolution, as I'm sure you're aware. One is to authorise the concept design, and the other is to consider in the budget coming up on the 27th of August. So in another month's time, the budget will come to council, which will include the necessary sums for the $2.7 million of stage one of the investment required in the 26-27 financial year. So possibly at that point in time, that might also half answer the question of the works required and/or requirements to bring to council, if at all, the detailed designs necessary as a part of the investment of the 2.7 initial investment.
I guess that leads me into the final part of the question is what level of confidence does the administration have in the current cost estimate, given the project has only reached concept design, and what contingency or estimating methodology has been applied?
CEO?
Through the chair, I refer that to the Director of Infrastructure Services, who's had a few weeks leave, but come back in the past couple of days, but I'm sure she's prepared for that particular question.
Thank you, CEO. There has been a updated cost plan received for that project, and it is yet, of course, as you know, to be tested in the market. But once we do that, I think it's a relatively straightforward project. It's mainly civil works, and so I'm not expecting the cost plan to differ much from what the market will say. If that happens, then there'll be some value engineering, and the staff will look to how we can either not undertake as much work as we've got, or whether or not the council has an appetite for allocating more resources to that project.
And thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the public?
Evening, everyone. My name is Miss Dorothy Papertalk. I live in South Adelaide, 11 Frisbee Court. I came here and would like to appeal again for a certificate that Miss Kelly Howard gave me, was for volunteer, and I still want to appeal. I've spoken to her twice. She still refused to just sign a piece of volunteer, put gardener, because I was a gardener for the RSL garden, and somehow I got sacked like an Indigenous person that worked her butt off for so long, made the community garden look so pretty and everything, and no answers in that for me to think. From then on, I got my health down low sick. I have a health problem, but I ain't going to make my health sick over this reason. But I would like to work again in the community, and this time I would like to work, and I'm volunteering at the moment for the St. Vinny's op shop. And I would like to know if there's any possibility the community town council can donate and offer some little support with the little garden, because I want to volunteer as a worker there, supporting the community with the second community shop in the town for everyone to share. Now, I think it's a good consideration compared to what's happening and everything that's gone blah, blah, everything. I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain it, but everything's popping up like flowers everywhere. And I'm also like to considering in the town council for Frisbee Court, for the little juveniles, every day, 24/7 on our street, wrecking it. Now, I'm the only one resident complaining about it. I went to Mr. George Lill's Furniture, he just laughed, and yet he lives there. Now, what consideration are these other residents are on my street? They are workers too, but we, they don't like to complain, and that, but it would consider it as a little bit of help, one person, and I've got a whole street, a lot of them, and half of them is bad people.
Ms.
And I've
Papercraft,
had children's thrown spanners, rocks, everything at me. And I reported it, but I can't do nothing because they're young kids. I went to housing, Department of Childcare, they still do nothing. Now, I'm so bloody angry, I'm going to go to ABC about this and get them to come and look at this bloody street.
Ms. Papertalk, thank you so much for coming here tonight, and I can feel your passion and the emotion behind what you're saying.
Yes, I have a considerate, I have pride. I have a book here from the Town Council that was given to me in 1997 for being a great teacher aide at Baylor School.
I can hear a lot of what you're saying with being a volunteer and your contributions to our community, which is really important. I'm just trying to determine if there are specific questions you would like council to take today.
It's the working with housing and the child department, working with them to get these kids back to school. Well, they got school apparently, and their school is at their house on my street. Now there's 4 houses that's been completely wrecked, and they there every night. I should know. I live on my street. I warned them not to come on my street, and on my yard, and I can't do nothing if they do come in my yard because they juvenilise. So I just say leave it to the authority.
Yeah, I might refer that to the CEO with regards to our advocacy that we could potentially look into in that space. CEO?
Through the chair, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for all those concerns. I'm hearing in particular the juvenile concerns regarding Frisbee Court, I gather. So I'm sure we're aware of those concerns, but we meet from time to time with particularly a lot of authorities, including the police, community services, Department of Housing. So perhaps we can actually take those concerns on your behalf and actually refer them to those authorities and advocate to support further measures to reduce those behaviours in that street. So we're hearing your concerns and thank you for making them tonight.
I appreciate that very much. I just wanted everyone to know, even the community, because a lot of people in the community are really, really ticked off, and especially when their things are getting stolen and they end up on my street, especially the cars and mining working cars, which they are bush mechanics. And now like you said, we've got a meeting tomorrow. I'm going out there to explain what I'm saying there about the children, because they're the parents out there. And I'd like to know if Zoe and Miss Dodd going out there tomorrow? You should be representing yourselves.
Thank you for the question. There is quite a number of councillors.
And also, one more question is the cemetery. What's happening about the development there?
I will refer the question about the cemetery to the CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I know that's in the current budget. There are some works that we recently went to tender on, which unfortunately we're well above our budget, unfortunately. But in the new budget proposed, which we're proposing to adopt in another 4 weeks' time, we've got a very large sum of money in the order of over 2 million, I think, at present, which will come to this council for consideration in 4 weeks. And that master plan works will include a number of improvements to the cemetery.
Yeah, just that I'm a bit concerned. My grandchildren's grave has been, the little white cot headstone has been taken off, and now it's just flowers on dirt. And I just wanted to question what happened there.
Thank you for the question. CEO, can you provide the process for that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the Director of Infrastructure has a response specifically in relation to that concern.
It was removed by persons unknown by the town, so the town did not remove any memorials of your grandchildren.
Yeah. Just that I'm a bit concerned that when I did I had it all planned for their headstone, and I'm still getting it going. Unfortunately, the money went missing with a little help with Zoe's mum and her, and I had no headstone. So I'm working myself out to get another one, and I'm a bit disturbed why this one is taken off and they just like everyone else's one. It's just flowers on the ground.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
It's not nice.
Yeah, it's a very distressing situation for you to be in, I would assume.
Well, I put benches from when I made her out there when they first passed away. It's 5 years now. people went out there and took items from there, took them from my grannies. Why would people do that? Now I'm tackling with the fathers that want to pick them up like they ancient bodies and bury them down Carnarvon and Perth. Where we do that? We're not ancient. My granny's only just been dead for 5 years. I'm not grieving yet, and I'm just holding right in there till the process is bloody done for their headstone. What I lost in the community, I called out for help and nobody helped. Nobody. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening to my...
Thank you so much for bringing your concerns to council. And we really do feel for you and your situation, as well as your passion about the community.
Thank you all for your time too.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from the public? I declare public question time closed at 6:02 p.m. Item 6.2, public statement time. I declare public statement time opened at 6:02 p.m. CEO, have we received any public statements?
Through the chair, no, we have not.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make statements?
If I can, before I start, I've tried to bang this down as quick as I can. I've got it down to 5 minutes and 20 seconds. May I have an extra 20 seconds allotted to the time frame, please, Madam Mayor?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Saves me speaking too quickly. So, again, Ash Christensen, South Headland. So, good evening, Mayor and councillors. I'm here tonight as a ratepayer to strongly oppose the proposed amendments to Policy 1019, Council Meetings and Forums. This report, in my opinion, is a disappointing example of government's reforms moving in the wrong direction. This is the exact policy I previously raised when I asked this council to consider opening the agenda feedback sessions to the public, as already occurs in other Western Australian local governments, including Karratha. I was assured that this request would be considered and addressed by you, the councillors. Yet this report does not address it, nor does it make any mention that consultation has taken place. Instead, I believe this policy has been brought forward approximately 2 years and 3 months ahead of its scheduled review, and with only one change, which in my opinion does not only not improve transparency and accountability, it actually removes existing governance safeguards. The current policy states, the declaration of interest provisions applying to council meetings are to apply to council forums. It recognises that while council forums may not technically be a formal meeting under the Local Government Act, councillors can still influence decisions, shape opinions and affect decisions that will later come before council. The reason for the wording in the original policy is simple and direct. The previous council deliberately chose to hold itself to a higher standard than legally required. Tonight, you've been asked to remove that standard and replace it with a vague arrangement, where a councillor with a declared interest may remain in the room and the other councillors decide by consensus whether that person may participate. I'd like to bring some things to your attention for consideration. The policy does not properly define a consensus. It does not establish an objective criteria. It does not explain what problem the existing rule has caused, nor does it identify any failings under the current policy. So I ask again, why the change? What it will do is simply remove a strong control and replaces it with a discretion. That is not stronger governance. That is not even good governance in my opinion. To me, that is a weaker governance. The report claims this change is intended to ensure elected members remain appropriately informed. Interesting considering every councillor is already entitled to receive the information they need to perform their role and duties, as mandated in the Act. The only people whose positions changes under this wording are the councillors who have declared an interest. People I assume you'd want to have more controls around. Moving on from this, I also will anticipate that some of you councillors may argue that the agenda feedback session should remain closed to the public. And using some examples, I'm assuming would be councillors still new, councillors are still learning, or members may be concerned about saying the wrong thing during these forums. In my opinion, that doesn't even cover the pub test, let alone do I believe it's an acceptable excuse. You were appointed, you applied to become councillors of a Tier 1 local government, responsible for a budget exceeding $100 million. This, in my opinion, is not a training exercise. It is a serious public office carrying serious responsibilities and dire consequences if those responsibilities are shirked. You should have understood that scrutiny, public questioning and accountability come with a position from the day you were nominated. If having the community observe you ask questions, test reports and prepare for decisions makes you uncomfortable, then the answer is simply not to keep the public out. The answer should be, in my opinion, to improve your preparation, improve your understanding of your responsibilities and become accountable to the people you were elected by. There have been countless opportunities for this council to debate and present its position on a number of big issues and decisions. However, to date, these opportunities, in my opinion, have gone lacking. The explanation that has been given publicly is that the detailed discussions that we have asked for happens during closed agenda feedback sessions. So it leaves me to ask the question, if that's the case, why isn't the agenda feedback sessions open to the public? You all campaigned on integrity, transparency and accountability. These words mean nothing if they are only applied when situations are easy, comfortable and politically convenient. Tonight, your actions will demonstrate whether these principles were genuine commitments or simply campaign slogans. You are not being asked to fix a broken governance control, you are being asked to remove a working one. I urge you to reject this motion, or at worst, amend it to retain the existing declaration of interest requirement and properly, and I say again, properly consider and debate opening agenda feedback sessions to the public. If you approve this policy as written, you will be knowingly lowering the governance standards of this council. However, it's also important to remember that no matter how you vote tonight, the community will know exactly where each of you stands on integrity, accountability and transparency. The community deserves much better than what has currently been proposed in the current motion, in my opinion. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your statement. Are there any other public statements? Thank you. I declare public statement time closed at 6:08 p.m. Moving into item 6.3, petitions, deputations, presentations and submissions. Our local government monitor, Andrew Hammond, would like to make a presentation during this item.
Thank you, Mayor. I commenced my role as monitor of the town of Port Hedland in March of this year, having been appointed by the local government inspector, and during that time I've witnessed quite a remarkable transformation in the governance performance of the organisation, and as this is my last meeting to attend and my term finishes in later in August, I'd just like to firstly thank the CEO, Dale Stewart, and his government staff for the cooperation and assistance they've afforded me during this time. I'd also like to acknowledge your efforts, Mayor, in the way that the performance of the local government has improved. And I'd like to just point out, I think there's quite a few areas of improvement necessary within the local government. I think we all organise that. You'd all be aware that the Forward Improvement Plan is underway, and there's some significant projects there that will look back on some of the activities that have been undertaken in the town, with a view to seeing what the problems were, perhaps who was responsible, and what the risks were to the local government. Importantly for me, irrespective of those issues, I would like to see that the outcomes of the Forward Improvement Plan focus upon an improvement to the business processes and systems of the council, because to do the Forward Improvement Plan without any improvement to the processes and systems will essentially be a waste of time. Also, you've got some significant major strategic projects on the books, so to speak, and I believe there's still quite a lot of work involved in identifying and prioritising those projects, and also identifying whether or not the local government has the capacity, both financially and logistically, to deliver those projects. So all in all, thank you once again for your cooperation. I think the operations of the town are going well. I now complete a report for the Inspector of Local Government, and from that report, he will make some determinations and decisions, and I would imagine would provide you with some recommendations for further improvements over time. Thank you again.
Thank you, Andrew. I would just like to say on behalf of myself and the council that we've appreciated your time with us. Your guidance and support for a new council has been beyond words in terms of the benefit that we've received. So we really appreciate that in getting us across a lot of areas that would take a lot longer to be there. So thank you. We move into item 7, questions from elected members without notice. Are there any questions from elected members?
Yes, I have a question. I have a few members of the public actually asking me regarding the pump track at JD, that the people that are living on Brodie Crescent, their houses, their back gardens, and because the complex is a lot higher being built than these houses, what is the council going to put in place for their privacy to their back gardens?
Thank you for your question, CEO.
Through the chair, I'll refer the question to the Director of Infrastructure Services.
On the highest parts of the jump track, there are privacy screens that are 2.8 metres high. We were on site yesterday and had a look, and that will shield those houses from having people looking in their backyards. We have discussed this. We've had a member of the public contact us, and a response was given to them today.
Thank you. Any further questions by elected members? Thank you.
Just referring back to the mosquitoes, I've had a few people, a few members of the public ask me about the built-up areas. Is there options to pump those waterways out so that the mosquitoes aren't getting built up in those areas, or is it just the fogging that we're mainly focusing on?
Thank you. CEO?
Through the chair, I'll refer the question to the Director of Regulatory Services.
Thank you, CEO. Through the chair, Councillor, the vector control program, are we talking, sorry, just for some clarification, about the drainage system, or is it open pooled water?
Yes, so sort of where, I'll give an example, on Trumpet Way, there's that drainage there that obviously generally gets quite built up and provides a lot of mosquitoes as well.
Thank you for the clarification, Councillor. These areas are treated with a larvicide, which is laid out over the area and can then, over a period of time, slowly degrade the ability for larvae to breed. So all open areas where we can, which are available to us, are treated with larvicide to complement our fogging program. Yeah, unfortunately, it's unusual this time of the year to have such an inundation of mosquitoes and vectors. But yeah, the team are out there conducting works as appropriate, and thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from elected members? Thank you. Item 9, declaration of all members to have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business paper before the meeting. Elected members, please declare by show of hand that due consideration has been given to all matters contained within the agenda for discussion this evening. Thank you. Item 10, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. As we move into the next section of the agenda, the recommendations will be shown on the screen. We have an officer's recommendation as displayed on the screen that requires a simple majority vote. Can I please have a mover? Councillor McDowell. And a seconder? Councillor Edwards. I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? That is 9-0 by simple majority. Item 11, reports of committees. 11.1, Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. There are no items in this section for council consideration. Item 12, reports of officers. 12.1, Corporate Services. 12.1.1, Statement of Financial Activity, June 2026. We have an officer's recommendation as displayed on screen that requires simple majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications sought?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have a couple if you don't mind. Happy to be taken on notice too. In the attachments, looking at creditor 11036, just some context in relation to lab tests of trees, just some understanding of what that entails, and creditor 11470, just a bit of clarification on the site inspection for the Faye Gladstone courts for that amount. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
Through the chair, I think we'll probably take that on notice. I think that particular question. Thank you.
Thank you. And further
Yes, I have, for 12.1.1, it's the capital delivery. So can the CEO, through the chair, provide council with the actual percentage of every capital project that was completed in 2025-26, identify which projects have now rolled over into 26-27, and advise what additional costs or escalation has resulted from these delays?
Thank you, CEO.
I'm happy to take that on notice if I have to. Yep.
Through the chair, a detailed question will require a detailed response. We understand the question very clearly, I'm sure. In relation to the extra part, in relation to escalation, escalation is a bit harder to answer, and we'll do our best endeavours because escalation isn't necessarily due to rolling over past June 30 per se, depending upon whether the project has commenced or not. So there's a bit of minutiae around the element of escalation, but we'll provide that to you in coming week or so. Thank you.
And the next one is reserve transfers. Can administration confirm whether every proposed reserve transfer has been supported by an existing council resolution as required, and if not, which transfers will require council approval before the annual financial statement are finalised?
CEO.
Through the chair, we'll have to take that question on notice. I note, though, that transfers to and from reserve are typically undertaken pursuant to a budget resolution. There's no resolution required to transfer to or from reserves per se. They are included typically in the adopted budget and or amended budget from time to time. So there's probably and hopefully no responses required to actually adopt the annual financial statements in due course with respect to confirming other tasks that weren't supported by a council resolution.
Thank you. If there are no further clarifications, can I have a mover?
Happy to move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor McDowell. Is anyone against this motion? I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? 9-0, simple majority. Thank you. Item 12.1.2, Chief Executive Officer Performance Review, Terms of Reference and Appointment of Committee Members. I would like to remind elected members of the Chief Executive Officer Dale Stewart's financial and impartiality declaration of interest disclosed for item 12.1.2. Administration has advised that there is also an amendment to the officer's recommendation, and the amendment has been supplied to elected members prior to the meeting. The amended officer's recommendation will now be shown on screen and will be reflected in the minutes of the meeting. We have an officer's recommendation on screen that requires an absolute majority and the appointment of 3 elected members to the committee. Elected members, can I please have a show of interest of who would like to be appointed to the committee? Councillors. Councillor Butson. I've got Councillor Scott, Councillor Butson.
Happy to be the third, Madam Mayor.
Deputy Mayor. Thank you. So I confirm myself, Councillor Scott, Councillor Butson and Deputy Mayor Melville. Can I have a mover for the motion? Thank you, Councillor McDowell. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Baxter. Is anyone against this motion? I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? 9-0 absolute majority. Item 12.1.3, proposed amendment to Council Policies 1/019, Council Meetings and Forums, and 02/004, Rating. We have an officer's recommendation, as displayed on screen, that requires a simple majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications required? Thank you. Can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Scott. And a seconder? Councillor McDowell, thank you. Is anyone against this motion? Councillor Butson, thank you. I now ask if the mover would like to speak to the motion. Thank you. Seconder, would you like to speak to the motion?
I'll reserve my right as well, thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Butson, would you like to speak against?
Yes, I'd like to speak to the policy on opening up the council meetings and forums to the public, to come in alliance with the local government and other local governments that are actually doing exactly the same. I feel that it does show our transparency and our commitment to the community in actually being open and honest. So I am happy if we sort of I would like to see this come back rather sooner than later to council when other members are ready. That I think that we should be doing it probably within the next 6 months, bringing them open to the public so that we can actually work on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butson. Are there any other elected members who wish to speak for the item?
Madam Mayor, I'll speak for the items. Take on board Councillor Butson's comments there, and I do tend to agree. I think in looking down the track, certainly something we can look at to open up our briefings and to the public, and we have discussed that offline on a couple of occasions. I think in the current situation where we're at, and I do take on board the public statements and comments that were made, I think for our team and best practice would be to be able to execute behind closed doors. And to the point with these, with the amendments talking in regards to the conflict of interest type stuff, I think at the current stage we have the conflict of interest is sitting with the member on what they deem to be the perceived conflict and how they declare that conflict both in our forums at the OCM and also in their workplace should they have one. So while the onus is on us as individuals or who may or may not have that conflict at the time, I think it's important to be able to offer some expertise on some conversations and some sort of questioning from a higher standard about our contribution in the room. The point about consensus is probably a majority type, and we haven't captured that per se as a rule of thumb, but as we fluctuate with our members and the amount of people we have at a briefing from time to time, I think putting it to the council, depending on what the particular topic is, and getting some sort of feedback. I'm happy to share that I use that myself on a couple of briefings and open it up to the council for their feedback if, with the conflict of interest, I declared whether I should stay or go. So taking their feedback and being able to have some sort of minor contribution in those briefings I thought was quite valid for the team. So on this occasion, I'm happy to vote in favour of this item.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do I have any other speakers for this item? For or against the item, sorry. I would also like to speak on behalf of this motion. Before joining council, this policy at some point was updated to close the agenda feedback sessions. So as a new council, we've walked into the current policy and we have workshopped what the policy has in its intricacies. We will continue to workshop that item, in particular opening the agenda feedback sessions to the public. And when the council feels it is appropriate, I think we will bring it back to council to review that. If there are no further speakers to the motion, I will now call for the vote. Okay. Oh, right of reply. Sorry, I do forget that one. I will put the right of reply to Councillor Scott. Would you like to speak in right of reply? Thank you. So I now put to the vote. I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? We've got
Call against.
And against.
Two against.
So we've got 7, 4 and 2 against. So that is passed by simple majority. Thank you. Item 12.1.4, proposed changes to the 2026 Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting schedule. We have an officer's recommendation as displayed on screen that requires simple majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications sought? Can I have a mover? I have Councillor Butson and a seconder. We'll go Councillor Todd. Thank you. Is anyone against this motion? I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? 9-0, simple majority. Thank you. 12.2, community services. 12.2.1, Scribblers on the Road sponsorship. I would like to remind elected members of the impartiality interest declared by elected member Scott for item 12.2.1. We have an officer's recommendation as displayed on screen that requires a simple majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications required?
Yes, I have a point of clarification, please, through the chair. So my question is, council was funded this event for the past 3 years on the understanding that the organisation would seek other funding and become less reliant on the town of Port Hedland. What evidence does the admin have that the organisation have done that, and why are we being asked to increase it from 40,000 a year to 50? Thank you.
Thank you. To the CEO.
Through the chair, thank you. I'll refer that to the Director of Community Services.
Through the chair. So we had quite a large detailed report back from Form in regards to this event. 50,000 is not the total cost of this actual event. So they do actually go and seek further funding from other organisations. This is an event that, or program that they have designed and delivered. I think the increase is due to increasing costs in travel. So the artists actually come from Perth that actually deliver this with our staff, and I do actually have one of our staff members here with us tonight. So at this stage it's due to cost, and the reason why we only ask for 1 year is for exactly that reason, Councillor Buxton, is that we actually now want to see them go further and get funding from other sources as well.
Thank you. Elected members, any further clarifications? Can I have a mover? Councillor Baxter. And a seconder? Councillor Todd. Is anyone against this motion? Thank you. I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by a show of hand for those in favour of the motion? 9-0, simple majority. Thank you. Item 12.3, regulatory services. There are no items in this section for council consideration. 12.4, infrastructure services. 12.4.1, endorsement of the South Hedland Town Centre activation concept design. We have an officer's recommendation as displayed on screen that requires a simple majority vote. Do I have a mover, or do I have an amended?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I may have an amended recommendation here on this particular one. I'd like to go with the officer's recommendation with point 1 and 2, and add a point 3, if I could. Request the CEO to prepare for council consideration by June 27 on our current and future strategies and policies on CCTV in public areas, including agreements with potential funding and enforcement stakeholders, and to withhold any future installations until policy has been endorsed by council. If you're happy, Madam Mayor, with your permission, I'll speak to it a little bit. Whilst quite happy to activate the green area, including the removal of Wise Terrace, and taking into account some of what was discussed in briefings with seating and open area and activation, I find it, one of the questions we did ask was, and I do take it on notice, the CCTV component and how much that would be. In regards to continual installation, shall I say, around town with a non-captured cost with no policy, constant review, updating, 3 to 5 year lifespans, I just feel this is a little bit unwarranted. I totally understand the intent behind the reasons why, especially around that area, but we know full well that it's not a deterrent to anyone at this stage. It's not even monitored in live fashion. It's got a request that's put in later, and I think there's a lot more proactive approaches we can do to mitigate a lot of the poor behaviour that we experience there at times, which has been well recorded in other towns and places, not just in Australia but overseas as well. So I'd like to move, or take the opportunity to move this amended recommendation, and we can capture that and formulate a detailed policy for future CCTV installations. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. I note your amendment includes an item 3 into the officer's recommendation, and we have Deputy Mayor as a mover. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Butson. Is anyone against this motion? Thank you. I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by a show of hands for those in favour of the motion? Thank you. That's 9-0 for simple majority.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors.
Item 12.4.2, award of RFT 2526-34 Gilbert Street Flood Pump Station Upgrade. Prior to consideration of the recommendation for this item, please note a minimum of 3 elected members must provide written support to amend the special council meeting. Decision 2026-27/0102 as part of the officer's recommendation. Can I please have a show of hands for 3 elected members? Thank you. CEO, would you like to speak?
Through the chair, thank you. Just a rarely used provision of a rescission, revocation or change motion that we don't normally use. So just to explain the process for the watchers online or the viewers here tonight, that 3 elected members have to not just verbally but in writing advise us of their intention to actually agree to considering a rescission or revocation or motion to change a previous motion. So hence the manager of governance is getting the signature of those 3 elected members to prove that we've got it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO.
Through the chair, if I may also, just to let the mayor and elected members know and the public that we have had a small technical glitch of the past 20 minutes or so, I gather, that our online live streaming has unfortunately been down to some extent. So I think we've just got it back up very shortly. So apologies to those that have just gone back online, that there has been a slight break in transmission, not through our, despite our best endeavours. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Just finishing up the paperwork here. Okay. Manager of Governance, can you please confirm 3 councillors' signatures? Thank you, councillors and Manager Governance. We have an officer's recommendation, as displayed on screen, that requires absolute majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications required on this item?
Yeah, I've just got one point of clarification.
Yep.
Considering that we have had the pumps for so long now, that warranty would have actually gone out now? It wouldn't be under warranty anymore?
CEO?
Through the chair, I'll refer that question to the Director of Infrastructure Services.
They have a warranty period after installation.
Thank you. With no further clarification sought, can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor McDowell. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Is anyone against this motion? Thank you. I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hand for those in favour of the motion? Thank you. 9-0 for an absolute majority vote. Thank you. 12.4.3, award of RFT 2526-20, Kingsford Smith Business Park Subdivision Construction Works. Prior to consideration of the recommendation for this item, please note a minimum of 3 elected members must provide written support to revoke the council decision of 2024-25/362 in the officer's recommendation 1. Can I please have a show of hand for 3 councillors to support the revocation? Thank you. Manager Governance, can you please confirm 3 councillors' signatures? Thank you, councillors and Manager Governance. We have the first officer's recommendation as displayed on screen that requires an absolute majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications sought? Thank you. Can I have a mover for this item? Thank you, Councillor Scott. And a seconder? Councillor Todd. Is anyone against this motion? I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands those in favour of the motion? Thank you. 9-0 absolute majority vote. Officer's recommendation 2 is displayed on screen that requires an absolute majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications sought? Thank you. Can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Todd. And a seconder? Councillor McDowell. Is anyone against this motion? I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? 9-0 absolute majority. Thank you. Item 12.4.4, award of RFT 2526-27, Town of Port Hedland Verge Maintenance. We have an officer's recommendation as displayed on screen that requires an absolute majority vote. Elected members, are there any clarifications required?
Yeah, through the chair, with this, do we actually look into having the extra management of the verges rather than leaving it to twice a year, maybe every 6 weeks to 3 months?
Thank you. CEO?
Through the chair, yes and no. The contract was advertised as 2. We took on board the considerations at the briefing session about whether we had capacity both in-house and or via the contractors. And you'll note that the part 1 of the motion considers a sum greater than the proposed value of the contract for 1 year. So the reason why I'm answering yes and no is because we went to market on two services, not 3 or 4, for example. But we hope to actually achieve the principle of the concerns that were expressed at the briefing session by providing some flexibility. So if we can't do the extra work in-house, where we had some good information from employees about their general capacity to do so from time to time, we have tried to provide some flexibility in part 1 to bring them back or provide another contractor if required, because we'd have to get a variation to the contract to provide a 3rd or 4th service, for example. So hopefully we address the concerns expressed by elected members on the evening with a different solution.
Any further clarifications from elected members? Thank you. Can I have a mover for this motion? Councillor Todd. Thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor McDowell. Is anyone against this motion? I now call for the vote. Can you please vote by show of hands for those in favour of the motion? 9-0 absolute majority vote. Thank you. Item 12.5, Office of the CEO. There are no items in this section for consideration by Council. Item 13, new business of an urgent nature, late items. There are no items in this section for consideration by Council. Item 14, motions of which previous notice has been given. There are no items in this section for consideration by Council. Item 15, matters for which meeting may be closed, confidential matters. There are no items in this section for consideration by Council. 16, closure. 16.1, date of next meeting. The next ordinary meeting of council is scheduled for Wednesday, 26th of August 2026 to commence at 5:30 p.m. 16.2, closure. I thank elected members, members of the public, the CEO, his staff and our local government monitor, Andrew Hammond, for their attendance. There being no further business, I declare the ordinary council meeting closed at 6:47 p.m.